Hello and welcome to today's webinar in partnership with Kistler, hosted by Medical Plastics News magazine. We will be discussing 100% inspection and transparency of critical process parameters. My name is Laura Hughes and I am the editor of Medical Plastics News magazine. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our title, we are the voice of the medical plastics industry. Through our print magazine and website, we deliver daily news content, comment and analysis, case studies, and interviews with leading industry players. For today's webinar, we are joined by 3 members from Kistler. These are Martin Lack, Team Leader, Product Management, Florian Pitchell, Business Development Manager, Plastics, and Stefan Vogel, Business Development Manager. Before I hand over to our speakers, we've got just a little bit of housekeeping. This presentation will be followed by a Q&A with our speakers. There will be 15 minutes at the end of this webinar, which is reserved for the question and answer section. Using the chat facility, please direct messages with your questions and we will put these to our presenters at the end of the session. You can send questions in throughout the entire webinar and we will endeavour to get as many of your questions answered as possible. And for any technical questions throughout, please address these to Kane Brennan. And with that, I'd like to hand over to our first speaker, Stefan.
So welcome to the presentation of Kistler for 100% inspection and transparency of critical process parameters. Today, we will have a short introduction about company Kistler, followed by the topic injection molding. After that, we hear a little bit about assembly and testing and our services we are offering, basically trainings. About Kistler. Kistler is offering measurement solutions and systems for all medical device manufacturing. We are the ideal partner in every part of the manufacturing and development process, from design over product development and the qualification, all the way through production. How does this look like? So during new product development, Kistler sensors and systems can be used for prototype development as well as testing. The sensors are highly sensitive and can be used for hand-driven as well as semi-automatic or automatic processes. On the other hand, they are rugged enough to enable high-speed assembly and testing processes. Due to the usage of the piezoelectric technology, the sensors are really stiff, so they last for a very long time without losing linearity. On the other hand, the high stiffness enables high dynamic measurement. So the sensors and systems can be used for all development, production, and even final testing. Once qualified, they can be transferred easily to any serial production line or quality management department. During production, the injection molding process will be monitored with our ComoNeo device. After primary forming, the parts will be assembled using our maXYmos family. You will learn more about this later in the presentation. Kistler not only offers sensors and process monitoring systems, but as well complete automatic joining modules. So there is a solution for most of your production needs, from manual station to fully automatic high-speed production lines. The added value in a nutshell is you get solutions and systems out of one hand from design till production. For zero failure production, for compliance to norms and regulations, you can decrease your quality cost. You can ensure process safety in production and data handling and optimization according to Industry 4.0. With that, I hand over to Florian, who will present you our solutions in the plastics manufacturing field.
From my side, I would also like to say welcome to everybody who signed in today. My name is Florian Pitchell. I'm the Strategic Business Development Manager for the business field plastics. And today I would like to shortly introduce the potential and benefits of cavity pressure monitoring. The production environment where we are in is the production manufacture of plastics component through injection molding. As you might know, the primary goal of each molder is to produce parts with the highest possible quality. But how to ensure and to measure quality, I would like to shortly start with an overview about the different process monitoring methods. I will start with the statistical process control, short SPC. This is one of the most common applied ones. Here, parts will be measured and illustrated in a control chart. Another one is the monitoring and recording of critical process machine parameters. One disadvantage of this approach is, as you might know, if you have a higher cavity mode, you're not getting further information about what's happening in the cavity. For this purpose, you can find cavity pressure monitoring, and this is one of the major fields Kistler is operating in. For the cavity pressure monitoring, you are applying one sensor directly in the cavity. You're very close to your part and you can record all physical properties happening directly in the cavity. Another approach to ensure quality is the application of process models. This is used mainly to find a correlation between parts properties and process parameters through the application of design of experiments and the appropriate creation of mathematical models. So let's start with cavity pressure monitoring. This is the business field where I am in. How is cavity pressure created? And on the left slide, I have an illustration where you can see schematically the cavity, the part with an installed sensor here. The blue one should illustrate the melt, and on the first picture, you can see that the melt is entering the cavity. You see at the moment a 0 pressure signal because the melt has not yet reached the sensor. On the second picture, the melt overflows the sensor and you see an increase in the cavity pressure. The third picture, you see that the cavity is roughly filled. We say it's volumetric filled. Here we are changing the machine from injection speed to pressure controlled. Last but not least, it's a so-called holding compression phase. And here we are compensating the shrinkage of the material. The part is cooling down until we eject it. As you can see on the picture, the cavity pressure profile provides a lot of information about your process. It also indicates different influences on external factors like temperature, changing machine pressure, or changing injection speed. We say that the cavity pressure is a fingerprint of your process because it offers you precise information about the entire injection process, and what's stated initially, it increases your process. To measure the cavity pressure, Kistler, we offer several sensors, a very broad range of sensor technology, and I would like to shortly introduce our measurement principles. Basically, we have three. One, the direct measurement means that you're installing a sensor directly in the cavity. The sensor is in contact with the part. It's the most accurate approach, and here we are offering several sensor dimensions. The smallest one is 1 millimeter. And here we can also combine a measurement of pressure and temperature with one sensor. Another approach is indirect measurement. Here the sensor is placed behind one ejector pin. The last one is the so-called contact-free measurement. This is mainly used where you require optical properties, and here you're not having any contact and you are measuring the deflection of the mold. So far so good. We created the cavity pressure signal, but how to record and to save the data. For this purpose, we are also offering one process monitoring device. We call it ComoNeo, and the ComoNeo has several functionalities which can be clustered in 3 main pillars. We have so-called smart assistance systems, which is helping the shop floor worker with several incidents, setting up, process recovery, etc. We have so-called monitoring and control features. Here we have the so-called ComoNeo multiflow, where we are controlling the temperature of hot runner tips. We have the feature ComoNeo switch, where we are enforcing a machine switchover based on cavity pressure. We have a feature ComoNeo merge. Here we are recording up to 4 different molding stages, for example, for multi-component. We have a feature called ComoNeo Composite for long-lasting cycles. And last but not least, one feature which is related to the Predict family is called ComoNeo Predict. And this feature really enables the process monitoring through process models. Where can cavity pressure in the ComoNeo be applied? And here you can see three different main fields. The cavity pressure in the ComoNeo can be applied for process analysis. You can do process monitoring with the application of so-called evaluation objects, where you are doing automated separation of good and bad pads. And last but not least, you can control the machine as well as the process with some dedicated feature. All of the functionalities and the benefits are enhancing your transparency during injection molding, increasing the process stability and safety, and for sure deliver a contribution to your documentation. I stated initially the prediction feature. Here I would like to shortly highlight the graphical user interface of our feature ComoNeo Predict. It's related to the process monitoring with process models. This application is showing 8 cavity tools, and we created the mathematical model and we are recording live in production the resulting parts properties. And for this purpose, we integrated a length, weight, and a burr deformation for our parts properties. All the predicted data are highlighted here and can be automatically transferred to data storage or MES systems. The benefits for cavity pressure as well as the application of the ComoNeo can be applied through the whole process chain. You can enhance your mold trial through process analysis and full transparency. The process setup can be speeded up and optimized through automated control features to find the optimum switchover or the perfect chip temperature profile for your hot runner system. It can be used for mold transfer and fast startup, even if you're changing your mold from location A to B, or if you have a machine transfer, because the cavity pressure curve is not fully changing. And based on this, you can refer your process quite easily and fast. One big advantage of the application of cavity pressure can be seen in series production. Here you can achieve automated scrap separation and 100% control. Last but not least, one benefit can be seen for the quality assurance, because here you have 100% proof of quality for each of your parts and an automated quality data documentation. I'm coming to the end of the injection molding part. What are the takeaways from cavity pressure monitoring for injection molding? The cavity pressure profile provides information about the quality for each individual part. It makes the injection molding process transparent. Our process monitoring device ComoNeo enables transparency and safety through process safety through the whole value chain. And for sure, the ComoNeo itself also has some integrated user management and audit trail functionality, which are in line with some Part 11 and Annex 11 topics. Thank you for listening to the injection molding part. I would like to hand over to Stefan.
Thank you very much, Florian. So after producing the single parts, which can be plastic, but of course can be other parts too, there will be assembly and testing. And for assembly and testing, Kistler offers as well some enhanced process monitoring systems. But why should you do that? Because quality parameters like forces, torques, force over displacement or angle are measured and are directly evaluated during the process. So that means there is a direct assessment of the quality of your joining process by correlation of typically 2 attributes. Could be force over displacement, torque over angle, or even force over time. But just measuring the force, one could not recognize if, for example, a part is jammed and therefore the required force is reached even when the part is not in the correct position. Regarding to the requirements and application, tolerance windows, so-called evaluation objects, can be placed around the measured curves for direct tolerance evaluation. So bad parts can be identified immediately. The whole system, the Maximus system we are offering, is classified as GAM5 class 4. So it offers a configurable firmware. So the major advantage of assessing the quality parameters directly during assembly is that critical process parameters are measured, when necessary correlated, and there is a good bad assessment immediately. There will be no additional storage space or external test stations necessary. The data retrieved can be used for direct process control. And in addition, data and metadata can be transferred to other system layers, for example, to the quality management database for additional evaluation. So that means with that system, you can create separate data layers, raw data, process data, and transfer them to any point you like. With this system, you can even create a direct batch release. That means process validation is way easier, and you can immediately from the first part compare it to your process parameters and decide for a batch release. With that, I will hand over to Martin. Oh no, sorry, there is one more. Here is another example. Here it is with torque measurement. So with the disc inhaler, we have basically two torques to be measured that could be seen as quality relevant. So one would be the spring force to unload the drug, and second one is to close the cap, that it is properly sealed for transportation. With our systems, the sensors are so sensitive and rugged that you can measure both forces that can be, or torques that can be really different with one sensor in one measurement station. So the direct benefits for the client would be a significantly improved process reliability and a high product quality. And so with that, I will now hand over to Martin to give you more insights on our new Maximus TLML process monitoring system.
Thank you, Stefan. Also a warm welcome from my side. My name is Martin Lack and I'm team leader of product manager in the production monitoring group. What I want to show you is our Maximus TL system in general and more in detail the features of the ML device. Production monitoring, where and how. So how is production monitoring done? For example, you have a production line and within this production line, you want to prove some quality. You can do this either inline or end of line or at least offline somewhere. What do you need for doing such a production monitoring with our Maximus device? First of all, you need our Maximus device and you need, for example, a force sensor, a cable for that, and a displacement sensor. With this equipment, you can measure force over displacement. And how does this look like? You see it here on the right side. For example, you want to put something together, you press with the force something into and measure the displacement. This force is displayed on our Maximus device and all over the force is displayed over the displacement. And you can do, for example, a master curve and compare this master curve with all the measurements you will do afterwards. On special points, you can place evaluation objects like those three or this one as well. And as long as the curve you measure is within this evaluation objects, everything is okay and it's displayed in green. If something goes wrong, for example, there's, for example, a chip in your combination, then the force increases, but the displacement doesn't change. So you will get a not okay device and you can decide if you do a rework for this or it is scrapped at least. So the Maximus TLML device was developed for medical applications, and this device is fitting to the FDA and MDR regulations. The benefits of the device: we can measure very, very low forces down to 1 Newton, for example. An addition for this device is that we implemented an audit trail functionality. So it's recommended that you use this if you want to know who changed what, when, during the process, or also during the setup of the device. Sometimes it's necessary that you communicate with the device directly with the printer, and the Maximus TLML is able to communicate with the printer and print out direct the results of your actual measurement. Also possible with the device it is that you can do a user management and give different rights to the users of the Maximus TLML. Also, you can switch on or off interface ports. For example, the device itself has a USB port, and if it's not allowed that you use USB sticks in your manufacturing, then you can switch off this port, this USB port, and for sure, this functionality can be handled by dedicated users. And last but not least, the device is also IoT proof. So we integrated the OPC UA connection so that you can communicate directly with upper layer systems. Services in relation to Maximus TL and medical applications are that at least we have not only for training for sensors, also for our Maximus device. We can help you with our services during the installation process and offering to you, for example, IQ documentation. As well, we will help you with the service during running your process or set up your process with OQ documentations. And last but not least, we can do also calibration, either in our facilities, in our Kistler facilities, or directly in line on your side, on your production processes, to fulfill always the traceability during your production. The benefits out of this is that you have with the Maximus TLML device a transparency of production processes. So either inline, end of line, or offline monitoring. You can reduce the effort and expenses during the ramp up process. So with our system, you can do things much faster and much easier. We can give you a quality assurance so that all bad parts are detected and also the good parts. So that's the main point. We can give you some assistance during optimization. And last but not least, data safety in this environment is very important. So we can offer different points for that. As takeaway from the Maximus TLML presentation is that the device is FDA and MDR compatible. We ensure a 100% inline process monitoring, and we reduce the efforts for qualification and validation. At last, during this presentation, I want to point out that we have upcoming product trainings. First, for the Maximus TLML, we will have this on the 22nd of July. We will go much more in detail of the functionality of the Maximus TLML and do a presentation about the programming and functionality of the device itself. For ComoNeo, please check our homepage and you can see our link to our website where you will get more information for that. Last but not least, if you have further questions, please contact either Stefan Vogel, you see the email address, or Florian Pichel, or at least myself, Martin Lack. And I would like to thank for your attention and would like to hand over to Laura.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your attention so far. We're now going to move to the Q&A section of the session. So thank you for sending your questions in. Let's start with the first question, which I think will be best suited for Martin. And the question is your product mainly software validated?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, the production validation is the responsibility of the customer. We can support you with guidance how to connect and set up the device. For validation. The validation package for the ComoNeo system will be available this year. And we can also provide you IQ/OQ documentation for the Maximus TL and the ComoNeo in combination with the validation process.
Great, thank you. Our next question is, where can I get additional information about the devices? And I think Florian might be best suited to answer this one.
Thank you, Laura. The best way to find additional information, you can find it directly on our homepage. On the right upper half, we have an entry field where you can type in the different numbers, or you have different tabs about the applications and our products information. If you have further information, there is also one info button where you can send directly an email, or what you can see here, send us an email and we can provide to you an information package with additional information for the showed products.
Great, thank you. Our next question for Stefan. What does GAMP5 category 4 mean?
Well, the devices, ComoNeo and Maximus TLML, are rated as GAMP5 Class 4 configurable products for customer validation. So that means the GAMP is the guideline of automated manufacturing processes, and it rates products that include software basically into classification. So when it comes for validation, it is very important that it is Class 4, because then the validation will be very easy, because it's a standard firmware software and it's standard hardware interfaces, and configurations are only possible to meet the user-specific processes. So the basic functions of the device themselves can't be changed. You just can set your tolerance windows according to your process, and you set up your connections to other devices like a PLC or a database, and that's it.
Great, thanks, Stefan. Our next question is, how can I get in contact with Kistler Sales and Service? So Florian.
So basically you can find us in a lot of different locations. On the webpage you can find our dedicated sales representative. Basically we also have tech centers located in Germany, USA, China, and Japan, supporting our customers with calibration repairs. We have in some other countries dedicated tech offices. And yeah, I think the most easiest way is to go to our webpage, and there all the information is ready for you.
Great, thank you. Our next question is for Martin, and it's, can you supply the device test procedures and documentation?
Yes, we can. This is the shortest answer. Thanks for that. Yes, for sure. We can provide to you procedures and documentation, how we tested our devices, the ComoNeo and the Maximus TLML. They are available. Yes.
Great, thank you. For Florian, what is the maximum count of cavities ComoNeo can handle?
Well, the maximum signals for pressure signals are 32. Which you can apply, and for temperature inputs we have 16 input signals you can apply. In the back on the machine side you can also integrate 4 additional analog voltage inputs to record some additional machine signals.
Great, thank you. The next question is for Martin. It is, which sensors can be connected to the Maximus TLML?
It would be much easier to answer which are not able to connect, but go this way around. So all piezoelectric strain gauge sensor, voltage, SSI, TTL, based for torque, force, pressure, displacement, angle sensors, all other third-party sensors can be connected to the Maximus device. In addition, there are a bunch of digital in and outputs, so you can do a kind of control directly with the device. And also we have the integrated field bus interfaces. It doesn't matter if this Ethernet IP, Profinet, Profibus, EtherCAT, and also OPC UA, as I mentioned already. The thing is, there is the possibility to connect two sensors to the XY monitoring. So you can connect a force sensor, a torque sensor, a pressure sensor with a displacement sensor. You can control or collect this information not for displacement. You can do this also over time.
Great, thank you, Martin. Our next question is, can you supply the calibration certificate for the entire measuring chain with overall measuring uncertainty? And this is for Stefan.
Yes, for assembly and testing, we are not only able to deliver the sensors already calibrated from our laboratory, but especially for the assembly part, we can even calibrate it in the machine. So that means the complete measurement chain, consisting typically out of a sensor or two sensors, the Maximus device, and the installation itself, so the mechanical properties, can be calibrated in the machine directly. So this gives you the highest accuracy for the overall measurement chain and includes as well the machine and mechanical properties. So the overall uncertainty calculation will be way easier with that.
Thank you. Martin, does Kistler product fulfill FDA 21, CFR Part 11, or GMP Europe Annex 11?
Yes, both devices, the ComoNeo and the Maximus TL, have been checked by an external company regarding Part 11 compliance. With the latest firmware release, ComoNeo 4.0 and Maximus TLML 1.7, we already solved some tasks so our customers can implement and certify our devices easier. The major topics of this software changes or additions are the audit trail. So, as you know for sure, each change in the device must be documented by the defined user. Time and date, so who changed what when. So the old value is required and the new value is also available in the audit trail. We also implemented the user handling. So each user must be identified and needs a safe login, avoiding mishandling. And the third point is the data handling and transfer. So there is an internal storage via flash is not seen as permanent. Therefore, no hard rules apply. But it must be sure that all relevant data is transferred at all the time, including time and date stamp. The file format must be seen as safe.
Great, thank you. And I think the final question that we have time for is for Florian, and this is, can ComoNeo be used for multi-component applications?
Yes, this is one of our features. It's called ComonEo Merge, and here we can monitor up to 4 different components and stages for multi-component molding steps.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your questions. And now that we're coming to the end of our time, all that remains to be said is thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been great to have you. And this webinar will be available on demand within the next couple of days. And you'll be sent a link to access this in case you want to recap on anything that you've heard or seen in today's session. We will also have a few survey questions, which you'll be able to answer when you leave this webinar. So this just leaves me to thank our speakers, Martin, Florian and Stefan, and thank everyone for attending. And presenters, is there anything else that you would like to say to our audience?
So thank you very much from all of us and of course from the company Kistler. Looking forward to get in contact with you regarding any of your inquiries, questions, and probably orders. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks Stefan, and thank you everyone for attending.